Hello, everyone. I'm very excited to be here this evening or this afternoon, wherever you are. Yes, I know that I've been away for a couple of weeks. I'm traveling and just, summer. So I'm sorry I didn't say that before I left. The last 2 weeks, I'm sorry I couldn't get on, and it's just been busy, but good busy. Okay. I know I took some time off in July, and I had some travelings this month. So I'm sorry I didn't say that before now, but I'm back. And so today I just want to share another interesting topic. Thank you for everyone that has contributed, been here, appeared on the program. Really appreciate all of you. And I'm very excited to be back. All right. So today I have another interesting topic. And the topic is how to choose a franchise. Now, I know I've actually had this question before, that if it's better to start a business from the scratch or just buy a franchise. And I often say that it depends, right? It depends. I don't really, of course, this program is always for educational purposes only. I do not really come here to say this is how you should go or this is how you should not go, because at the end of the day, it depends on your specific situation. But I'm going to give you definitely a broad scope, so that if anybody is thinking of this, they have a sort of background. Think of buying a franchise, they have a sort of background and say, okay, you know what? I can bring this to the table to talk to my professional, to talk to my accountant, and then they would be able to, go through the steps pertaining to, or related, should I say, pertaining, I would say, steps that actually are peculiar to your case, right? So as I said, this is just for informative purposes only, all right? So what is really a franchise? I know a lot of us see franchises everywhere. When we see a fast food restaurant here, and we travel out of state and we see the same fast food restaurants, in that same state. Sometimes we even travel out of the country and we see, for example, a fast food restaurant that is in a different country, right? So these are franchise. So franchise is when what happens is that we call it between a franchisor and a franchisee. What happens is that the owner of the business, the franchisor, is the one that started the business and say, oh yeah, I've done this, started the business. And I know I talked about I just mentioned fast food, but you can franchise so many things. People are franchising gyms, workout places. People are also franchising what else? Massage places. So many franchises are out there. All right. So what happens that the franchisee buys the rights into the franchisor that buys, and the franchisor usually provides good service and guidance, right? And it depends on the business model of the franchisor, right? But of course, then the franchisee would say, okay, I agree to this business model and I'm going to go ahead and actually take it up, right? So what happens is that the franchisor sells the rights, right? As I mentioned. So let's say you decided, you know what, I'm not thinking of starting the business from scratch. I'm going to get into this franchise. The very first question you should ask yourself is, before you even think of anything, is how much do you have, right? How much can you invest? Because there are some franchises that are not cheap. There are some that are very expensive, right? And so there are some that are average, pricing. But again, what can you, before you even talk about anything about, I'm going to the franchise, I'm not going to the franchise. First of all, look at how much money you have on the table, right? Because usually, remember I said you have to purchase the rights. So how much money do you have on the table, right? Because again, I'm going to use fast food because it's very, very popular, right? The beauty of that of the fast food example is, anyway, you know what? Let me leave the pros and cons to later. But the issue here is you should actually first of all say, you know what? How much do I have? Then then that's the very first step. I have this. I have 100,000, 300, 150, 20, 50, whatever you have. Just know what you have first of all. The next step is, what do you want to do? What do you want to franchise? What kind of industry do you want to get into? When I would say, what do you want to buy into? Not that what do you want to franchise, because you're not the franchise. So, but what business do you want to get into? Are you getting into, I gave an example of fast food. You want to get into the fast food restaurants, all right? You want to get into workout, the gyms. You want to get into massages. What about schools? Maybe end of, should I say, no, I'm not going to say end of day. I would say after school programs. There are franchises like that. So what is it that you're really looking at? What kind of industry, right? So remember, you have the money. So when you're looking at the industry, you look at, okay, what cost? Remember, now you have the money, right? Let's say you're saying, okay, I'm going into the fast food industry. Fine. Now you said, okay, that's what I want. Now I have my money. What fast food industry, or what fast food company, not industry because you're already in the industry, what fast food company would work for me? Okay, what fast food company would work for me? All right. So let's say that you decide to go into fast food. That's when you decide, okay, I have this amount of money. All right, that's the next step. Then also, one thing that I also tell people is that values, you have to look into the values of the company. Now, maybe you're a vegan person, that you eat, you're vegan, not vegan person, you're a vegan. Okay, you're a vegan, not a vegan person. I'm correcting myself. You're a vegan. And you just want to go into restaurants that sell, or that provide vegan food, right? Maybe you don't want to eat meat. Maybe you're the kind of person that says, you know what, I really want to get into vegan restaurants, right? Maybe it might not be fast food, it could be it could be a restaurant. Or even without that, it might not even be exactly the type of food that is being sold, but the values, the mission, what is the company all about? So many people have that issue of, what they find out, oh, this company, even though now that they're going to get into a franchise agreement, they find that, oh my goodness, is this what this company is all about? Oh no, I'm not going to be part of it. I'm not going to be part of it. So the values of that company is something else you should look at. The values, the mission of that company. Because some people, some companies, even though they're into fast food, they have social responsibility. They do a lot for the community. So you might say, oh no, oh yes, I really identify with that, because I really want to do a lot, and I want my franchise, I'm the franchisee. I want mine to do a lot. I want you to actually do a lot, right? I want to do a lot for the community. And you see that, oh my goodness, this, even though it's a fast food franchise, is doing so much for the community. All right. So that's something that you might want to look at, the values and mission, because remember, now you know how much money you want to invest or you want to use to buy into the franchise, right? Now you know, okay, you pick up the industry. Oh yeah, this is the industry I want to buy into, right? Awesome. Now then, do the vision and mission align with my objectives? Do they really align with my objectives? Do I really, really want to go into that? Because sometimes, even though the fast food restaurant is doing very well, that the mission and the vision is not aligned with your belief system, and that's fine. So you don't want to get into that. So it's very important, right? That you said, you know what? Yes, and sometimes the amount, right? The amount, which is the initial deposit for I'm using this. I'm just using fast food as an example. Yes, I'm just using it as an example. All right. So let's say that the initial amount, right, is very minimal. But because even though you can afford it, your vision and mission is not something that you want to align yourself with, because that's not what it's against your belief system, right? So, or your values, that's a belief system, your values. So, okay, So that's what you should look at, right? Then the next one, I mean, everything is important, but the next one I look at is, every company usually asks for franchise fees. It's very important for you to look into that agreement. What is the franchise fee? What is it that they're looking for, right? Are they looking for a revenue-based franchise fee? What does that mean? Assuming, let's say, your company makes maybe very good, it makes 200,000 a month, right? Very good revenue, but because you have expenses are 50,000. So 200,000 minus 50,000 is what? 150,000. There's some franchise, they'll say, you're going to pay me from the top. The percentage is from the top. But before we go into, is it different kinds of, applying the percentage, you need to ask yourself, first of all, you have to ask the franchisor. You have to know the percentage, okay? Now, there's some franchises that charge 3%, 10%, 5%, but there's some that even charge a flat fee. So you need to know that. Now, if it's a franchisee that charges a franchisor, which is the owner that charges a flat fee, then the percentage will not apply in this case because it's a flat fee. But still, you still have to do an analysis, right? So flat fee, one side. So if they charge a percentage, what is the percentage? The second step is know the percentage. Then the third one is that what are they applying the percentage to, right? Now, I gave you the example. Let's say let's say the month, your revenue was 200,000 for the purpose of this discussion, 200,000, but expenses comes to 50, right? 200,000 minus 50,000 is what? 150,000, all right? 150,000, okay? So when you subtract that, right, you get 150,000. The next thing you should ask yourself, where do they charge the percentage, right? If it's, let's say, 5%, the percentage is 5%, just for the purpose of this discussion, 5%. Is it 5% on revenue, or is it 5% on revenue or sales, or is it 5% on the net? All right, let's look at this. If they say 5% on revenue, right? 200,000, 5%, if that's 10,000, right? Because, 5% of 200,000, I believe, is 10,000, because 200,000, 50% is 100,000. So I would say 5% would be 10,000. All right? Okay. Now, if it's 5% on 150,000, right? Remember, that's of net profit. 5% on net profit, that would be 5% of 150,000. Of course, now I believe that's 7,500. I hope I'm correct with my calculation, right? All right, 7,500. So you see, 5% on net profit, yes, 7,500. 5% on net profit is what? It's 7,500 in this case of this example. 5% of 20,000, right? Of 20,000 is 10,000. You see the difference? Because you might say it doesn't matter. No, it does matter. Now you might see, because let's say you have about 5 companies in front of you and you say, oh yeah, let me look at which one works best. And you say, okay, this one has a fixed fee. You might think a fixed fee is very good, but there's sometimes the company might not make good money. So I'm very wary of fixed fees, because fixed fee means that no matter what, that's how much you're going to pay the franchisor. Now, it's very okay. You might think it's okay when you're making good money, but things happen. And you might not, maybe something happens in a particular month. Maybe you have to travel, or you take a vacation, something happens in that particular month, or something happens and you're not able to meet up because is a fixed amount. But if it's based on revenue or based on net profit, from my standpoint, I would say that I would prefer that than fixed fee, right? Because the fixed fee means that no matter what, you must pay that money. All right. But if it's based on a percentage, I would say, oh, did I make that revenue or did I make the net profit? So you have to ask and see which one works. You have to look at it, run your number. That's why I say before you make a decision like this, make sure you talk to a professional. Make sure you talk to an accountant to run your numbers and see, because you might have 5, 6, 7, 8, or even maybe might have a lot of companies to choose from. But it's very important for you when, let's say, you pass the stage of investment. You say, oh yeah, you love the industry. Oh, the value's fine. But you're trying to decide which one do you take because of the fees. Very good to do an analysis. That's why I said it depends, right? And sometimes you can actually negotiate. There might be something that your accountant, your attorney can actually negotiate. All right. So very, very important, right? So another point is that you have to also review the franchise requirements. The fee is one thing, but what about what is required by the franchise? What are some of the things that are required? Are they requiring you to, when you want to set it up? Yes, the investment, they might be requiring you to do something extra. There might be something behind, or should I say, in small prints. Make sure that you get your attorney, make sure you get your accountant, make sure that everything is reviewed. It's so important, because you don't want to be in a position that at the end of the day, when you signing a contract with a franchisee, usually sometimes things come back because you might say, oh, I didn't know. They said, I'm not an attorney, but I've heard this several times. Ignorance is not an excuse. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse. All right? Very important. All right? Very important for us to understand that. Okay? To make sure you go through all the details. You might get so excited. Oh my goodness, this is within my budget. The industry is fantastic. Values and mission, yes. And then they have the franchise fee, beautiful, right? But what about the conditions that apply under that umbrella? Maybe there are conditions that apply. What about that? Right? So make sure you're digging to see, right? Is it really, really necessary for you to go to that other side when you see that, or to that franchise when you see that there are other conditions that apply beyond the excitement, all right, of the pricing of is not on net profit, is on net revenue. Net is on not on net, is not on revenue, but the percentage is on net profit. All right. Do analysis, do trend analysis. Sometimes even the franchise, you have to be very careful. Now, for example, I'll give you an example. After COVID, right? I know people are still going to the gym, but a lot of people created a gym at home. So you have to see that, okay, even if you buy this franchise, I'm not saying that is always the case. Even though you buy this franchise, you say, okay, is this something that you're going to make money? Make sure you look at your pros, look at pros and cons for that industry, not for the franchise in general, but for that specific industry. I'm going to talk about the pros and cons for franchisor. This is, having a franchise, but I'm just saying that make sure that you know what you're getting into, right? So many things have changed. COVID changed a lot of things. So you make sure that when you're getting into a franchise, ask yourself, is it really the right franchise that you want to get into? Very important. Just make sure that you do your homework, work with a professional, right? Not only running the numbers, look at the non-financial factors, right? Just like I mentioned here, that one of the non-financial factors would be, what about the industry? Is the industry still very lucrative? Because I think 3 years ago and today, things really have changed. So make sure you understand the industry you're getting into, right? Some people might say, oh, yeah, I always wanted to get into this industry. Very good. But what about today? One thing about business economic trends, you have to make sure that you are seeing what's happening around the environment, right? Your industry, to make sure that, oh yeah, this is an area I want to get into, right? It's beyond sentiments. Yes, I know that I talked about values and mission, but at the end of the day, it's money. It's not, I wouldn't say all about, but at the end of the day, it's money. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to get into something that you will not make a profit, right? You don't want to get into something. That's why I'm very wary about fixed fees. Get into something that is going downhill, because of, when I say downhill, sales are going down, and somebody gives you a fixed fee. I mean, if that means that you have to come up with that amount when sales go down. So you want to make sure that that is not something that you want to get into if you're not certain that the company is going to do well. All right. Okay. So make sure you do your due diligence. All right. Now, what are the pros? What are the cons? Right. Let me just give you a few. One of the things that is so good when you're starting a franchise, that there's nothing like trying to get your brand out there. Brand awareness, oh my goodness, is already out there. I know small businesses struggle with that. So brand awareness is there. Everything is already set up for you. When somebody's used to, I'm going to still use my fast food restaurant. Somebody's used to a fast food restaurant where they stay. They might say, oh, when they're coming where you're staying, maybe they're coming to visit a friend. They say, oh my goodness, is this is available here, right? I mean, I know a friend of mine that actually came from out of state. This fast food restaurant is actually based, only in my state. I don't think they've gone out of state. So she's been hearing so much about this. When she came, oh, I wanna visit this fast food restaurant, right? So your brand is known. Sometimes internationally, it's actually known, right? So you're good with that. No struggle with marketing. You're good with that. All right. Another area that is great with franchisees or having a franchise, buying to a franchise is that, apart from the brand name being there, with business structure, everything is already in place, right? You're just walking into a business, right? It's already in place, right? So that's another great thing. Another point that is good is that usually if you do your homework well, and this is a good franchise, I mean, you hit the ground running. You're not struggling from the beginning and say, oh, you're not really making profit. Usually, when they know that you're there and they know the brand name and you get into a new environment, you're good. You're hit. I mean, your sales, I mean, even if it's 1 month that people they find out that you're there in that environment, your sales will, I mean, is still within the trend of the franchise. So you're good with sales. I mean, right? So it's just that's really what the great thing, right, of that, of having that, getting into a franchise, no struggle with starting a business, all the issues of, usually, I mean, usually even capital is not really an issue because before you get into a franchise, you've already set up the amount that you're going to use in the franchise, right? For the franchise. So the other part of, supplying all the equipment usually is part of the setup. So you're not really going to struggle in that way. So those are the good things. But what are the cons? Well, the cons is that if you have a very if you don't do your homework, right, and you don't see what's happening around the market trend and things like that, if you don't do that and you buy into a franchise that is not really moving forward as it's supposed to move forward, issues will happen. Some of the issues that will happen is, first of all, you'll be frustrated, you lose money, because if it's as I said, if it's a fixed fee, I mean, you lose money. And then also if it's a high percentage, right, it goes I mean, if you're not really making revenue and you have, let's say your franchise fee is $10,000, sorry, 10%, not 10,000, let's say 10%. I mean, depending on the what you're making, right? Remember, it's from revenue. It is from revenue, not from the net profit. That's also a problem. So those are the issues. I mean, then of course you have to follow processes and procedures that is aligned with the franchise. That's, it's not like, I mean, it's not something that it's based on your innovative ideas. Everything's about the franchise. And of course, you're not able to, I mean, if you have something if you start something from scratch, yes, at the beginning it might be challenging, but because a lot of people don't remember, these franchisors started from scratch. That's why they're franchised now. They started from scratch. So they are building now to a point that they can franchise their company, right? You are, I know you don't want to go through the pains, but at the end of the day, if you do go through the pains of getting your business up, it's possible that the sky is your limit or might not even be your limit. It might be difficult at the beginning, but at the end of the day, you reap the reward of having your own business. Yes, it's challenging, but at the end of the day, would definitely reap because 100% of that business, all the revenue of, I'm not talking about, but even if you have a partner, it's different, right? It depends on how you want to set up. But let's say you're the owner of the small business or the business that becomes a mighty business, it's all yours. Okay. So again, know the pros, know the cons, right? But as I said, I mentioned a little bit earlier, do your homework, do your homework. And of course, I know I mentioned that in the cons. If you do want to, you can actually set up, if you do want to set up a franchise, you can actually do that. Go ahead and do it. Yes, there might be modalities, might not be easy, but you know what? The people that people are franchising from, right? They become their franchisor. What happened? They set it up by themselves. So you can go ahead and do it. Just get an idea and have an idea and make yours unique. You might, whether it's fast food, whether it's a place where people, maybe spa or anything you want to do in that aspect, make sure that you're doing it properly. So again, there are growing pains, but if you want to think of that, that's not a bad avenue to go. All right. But if you say that, you know what, there's already an established franchise, I prefer buying into it, no problem. But even though, as I said, I've given these points, it's so important for you to speak to a professional to lay it down for you and making sure that, lay it out for you, making sure that everything that you're looking for has been, fulfilled when it comes to franchise, right? Franchise, being a franchise Z, make sure everything you're looking for, be open to your professional, make sure everything you're looking for has been fulfilled. These are some of the points you can actually show them or show the professional. Of course, as I said, this is just educational purposes only. But of course, most professionals will add more and say, okay, how does it work? How is it peculiar to you in your case? All right. Awesome. All right. Great. So let's quickly go to our questions for today. I hope somebody out there is might be thinking of starting a franchise, right? Or getting into a franchise, right? But either way, you have to be intentional about it. All right. Awesome. So let's look at some of the questions that I have here. Okay, this is from a business owner. Really, I'm really discouraged right now. Inflation, I can't get the right staff. Sales are declining. I'm thinking of closing my business. What do you think? Okay, well, I cannot think for you, but what I do at times like this, I know that sometimes it's discouraging. What you need to do is put things in perspective. Okay, what do I mean? You've talked about inflation, rice staff, sales declining. These are, maybe there could be other pointers, but put things in perspective. Inflation, okay. I believe I have a show, a program. On this platform, right? And I think I spoke about inflation. All right. It's very important for you to look at how you can beat inflation in your business, right? It might not be beating it 100%, but you can curb it. There are so many ways you can do that, right? For example, you might be going through instances or issues where your pricing of items are really high, depending on if you're selling or you're producing products Now, if that's the case, there are certain ways you can go about this. You can buy in bulk. You can actually also, you have to increase your pricing. I actually have a program on that, right? You have to increase your pricing. Very important. You have to increase it, but not just outrageously, but you have to do that in such a way that, at least you cover your costs and make a profit. Now, before you do that, like I'm just getting an email from one of my vendors and they're telling me that, okay, I'm one of my software vendors that by September 1st, they have mentioned it before, but they went ahead and they reminded me, sending an email that is going to increase by September 1st. Now, it's very important to be transparent with your clients or your customers. And of course, when you're increasing it, just don't let it be so outrageous. All right. Okay. So there are many pointers. I advise you to go and watch my show, the Inia Desunya show. Is good for you to watch it. Of course, this platform is to just make sure that businesses do well, thrive. So that's the goal of this platform, just to provide resources and information for businesses to do well. So I would suggest you go back and look at one of my shows on inflation to guide you. And just, again, this is for informative purposes only, but at least it'll give you some kind of pointers where you can actually say, okay, maybe I can change this or change that. Of course, you have to work with a professional. I always advise you to do that. Okay, the next one, you said, I can't get the right staff. I know there's a show. One of my shows is about how to retain the right staff. How do you retain staff? It's very important. How do you do that? Maybe there's something that you're not doing right. Again, it's good to watch my show. One of them, has to do with how you pay your staff, maybe how you relate with your staff, and even from the beginning, who do you hire to be your staff? Because if you hire the wrong staff, of course you won't retain them. So who are you hiring? Who are those that you hire? Who are you hiring? Okay. So, and then another one, you're saying sales are declining. What's happening to your sales? Is it that people are not getting to know your brand? Are you doing brand awareness? I have a show on that, brand awareness. That's why I said categorize and put them into perspective so that you will know how do you handle each and every category. All right. How do you handle each and every category? Okay. So again, which one are you really focusing on? Of course, you can focus on all, but handle them one by one and making sure that, okay, I've dealt with inflation, I've dealt with staff, I've dealt with sales declining, right? I mean, there are so many issues of sales declining. It could be, I said brand awareness. It could be quality of your product. It could be anything. It could be anything. I'm not, because as I said, usually I analyze things and see if I work with a client, I like to go through, I'll ask some questions to see. All right. So before you think of closing your business, I would say, first of all, kudos for getting this far. To have an SME, to have a small and medium-sized enterprise, kudos and kudos and kudos. So great. So I would say that go through these pointers, right? And see what can happen, see what you're missing in respect of these pointers, right? And see how you can actually do better, right? I strongly feel that there's a way out, but again, it's your decision, right? You have to decide on how to go about it. But I would say that for even to start a business to get to this level, kudos, right? Kudos. Okay. All right. The next question is, do I buy a business or start from scratch? Okay. In this case, I don't believe this person is talking about franchise, but let's say it might be. So the franchise part, I've dealt with it. But buying a business, some people just buy a business outright, which is not a franchise, right? Now, it depends, right? It depends. Some people, of course, the advantages and disadvantages. So generally, it just depends. Some people feel comfortable with just having a business already established, already established business, right? And then moving forward and say, okay, this business has already been established, so I would like to continue to move forward. It's good. It's good to do that. But of course, there are cons, there are pros, right? And I believe I don't think I have a show on that, but I will check. If not, I will bring that up. I'll bring the show. I do a show on that. Because there are so many ways that if you buy the business, remember there's so many ways that you can fail if you buy the business on your and the person. If it's, let's say if it's a service business, the person that sold you the business should work with you. When I say work with you, shouldn't just abandon and say, I've sold the business. Okay, should not just abandon and say, oh yeah, this business has been sold, and so I'm not part of it. Usually for service industry, people like to work with the owners or with the people that work in the company, right? If the service industry, especially if it's a small and medium-sized enterprise. So it's very important for you to know how to buy the business, not just outright cash or credit or debt. There are modalities that you should actually work with the owners of the business, that is the seller. All right. So very important for service industry. And then I know that for industry that is not really, I know that industries that are not really service, because like there's a lot of mergers and acquisition, but I'm really talking about at the lower level when it's some SMEs. So just look at the pros and cons. I know starting a business from scratch is very difficult. I know that. But you have to have the passion to do that if you're going to start it from scratch. Okay. So again, I'm not saying yes or no. I'm just saying that look at all the factors that pertain to either buying the business or starting from scratch. It's so important for you to do your due diligence. It's very important, because if you don't do your due diligence, so many things might fail, right? It's because you need to do your due diligence. Get attorneys involved, get accountants involved if you're buying a business, to make sure the valuation is correct, okay? So if you're going that route, so just due diligence is so important, okay? And of course, if you want to start from scratch, there's nothing wrong with that too. All right. So it just depends on which way you want to go. But I advise you, before you make a decision, before you buy a business, make sure you do your due diligence, sit with a professional and do your due diligence. Okay. All right. Okay. The third question here is that my business is a seasonal business. Do I market throughout the year or around the season of sale? Well, I understand that usually, I know, not understand, that from my experience, that you don't wait until the season of sale to market your product. You do not wait till then. It's very important for you not to wait till season of sale to market your product. If you market your product at the point of that season, then how do you capture the entire market? People have to know that, oh, the season is coming. The season is coming. I know some businesses that only operate during the summer. So you don't start marketing during the summer. You start marketing, early in the year, towards early, not early, so early so that people forget not some people market so early and then they don't continue marketing. So when I say start marketing, it's very important for you to start marketing in the time that you can continue marketing to the summer. All right. Not that you start marketing in December and you stop marketing in March, right? No, it should build up, right? Here and there, build up to the summer. All right. That's an example. If your business is seasonal up to the summer. So it's very important for you to market. We create awareness is very important, because if you don't create awareness, people will not know about your business, and tell them, oh, summer is all coming up. And, for example, I'm just using this as an example because I like being practical, right? I don't want to just say it up there. So it's very important, okay? To, to market throughout the year or around the season of sale, all right? Very important throughout the year and around the season of sale, not or, and around the season of sale, okay? Not, and when I say throughout the year, I'm not talking about, I know it's expensive, so I'm not saying that you should, marketing, is necessary. But if you're a seasonal person, right? Seasonal business, like this is saying throughout the year or around the season of sale, I would say you could do it towards that season of sale, but not at the season of sale. right? Towards around here, I don't really, I'm not going to be specific with around when it comes to the summer, let's say summer sale. I would say, I mean, towards the early in the year. I mean, not very early, but you know what I mean. Maybe a couple of months to the beginning of the summer, right? I mean, we know what happens when it comes to even holidays, sort of Christmas at the end of the year holidays. You see things marketed, marketed. I mean, from last quarter, from September, you see sales. October, it starts like that, and it's really sales, not just twinkling of sales pitches, but it's like it's on. People are sending you flyers. You see it on social media. You see it on TVs, radios, things like that. You hear the sales over and over again. So I would say that it's not the length of time that you market, right? I wouldn't say the whole year, but it's the intensity of the marketing, right? So I would say that as it's going towards the time, let's say summer is your season, I would say it should trickle maybe towards the beginning of the year. Then as it gets towards summer, more the marketing should really increase, right? That's what I would say. And of course, as I said, this is for educational purposes only. Very good to work with a professional, but the eyes from my experience, I mean, the more I see towards that time, the more I see marketing products towards that time, the more I remember, right? And then, as I said, building up towards that period of time. All right, very good. Okay. The next question, I think we have time for one more. I understand that I can save money if I hire my kids. Is that true? Well, I mean, how would I put this? I mean, save money. Well, maybe when you say save money, because the money is coming back to your house. Maybe that's what you mean by saving money. But I want to make sure that we understand that when you're hiring your kids, um, every day you have to go with the labor law of how many hours your child is supposed to work. There's nothing wrong with hiring your child. I already have a show. One of the shows talks about hiring kids, your kids. There's nothing wrong with that, but make sure that you follow, the way you hire people. Make sure when I say you follow the way you hire, the way you pay, the right process. Because if your child is shredding for you or doing little administrative work for you, you need to pay your child a salary, right? You can't say that you're going to buy the child clothes or things like that, and that's the salary. No, you need to pay your child a salary, or even if it's something that he doesn't do regularly, you pay the person a 1099. So when you say save money, I would say, well, because the money might be it's coming back to your house because your kids, right, coming back to the house. That might be okay. You know what? I might say that might be the kind that you want to save your child's money, or you can spend the child's money, or the child can spend the money. So instead of coming to you for money, well, of course they'll still come to you, but maybe basic things because of depends on how much you pay them. I mean, I don't, or you can. That's what you're looking at as savings, right? But I have a program on that. So make sure you look at it. Hiring your children is a very good idea. But you have to be careful, make sure that you do it properly. All right. So really great being back. I know that I will look at the scheduling of the programs and see if I will be doing this weekly. I'm hoping I can. If not, maybe bi-weekly. But I just wanted to make sure that, I am here today. Summer is almost over. I'm very excited that I could make it. And remember, this is the Dr. Emilia Desanya show. It's a program where I talk to small businesses, SMEs, just to give them resources so that they can make sure that businesses thrive. Again, for educational purposes only. It's very important for you to talk to a professional, but at least I give knowledge, right? But again, finally, anything I say, of course, disclaimer, right? As I said, educational purposes only, but to be successful, to thrive, you have to be intentional. All right. So see you next